Welcome back to Conversation with Buddy. I'm your host, Buddy Puckett. Thank you so much for being here this week and every week, really. Hey, a little bit about the rec here. You know, we've been doing this here at the podcast studio for about 4 years, but the bowling here has been around for probably around 6 years. And then we opened up a Grange coffee shop in Kaiser. And then most recently, we opened up the Rec Commons, which is over on Lancaster. It's a coffee shop. So I think it's actually opening this weekend, so August 1st. Anyway, love to have you come and see what's going on. Today we have a special guest. I've never met this guy before until today. My friend Phil Heyer referred him and highly recommended him, so I thought, heck yeah. So without further ado, my friend, let me just pull this up here real quick. His name is Spil Tuigamala.
Yes, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Man, thanks for being here, man.
Yes, sir.
Well, I wouldn't want to fight you, that's for sure.
Nah.
All right, so how do you know Phil?
I met Phil about a year ago. Oregon Roots Jiu-Jitsu in Independence. I saw a post on Facebook by his daughter, which I didn't know it was his daughter Mariah at the time.
Yeah.
And so I was like, hey, I'm going to go sign on my kids. And when I went there, kids class and got to watch them, Phil and another guy named Matt was there, and they were like, hey, after the kids class, we have an adult class, and I was just like, oh, that's cool. And then he was like, yeah, you should, you should join us. And I try to make some excuses, I don't have what you guys have on, which at the time is called a gi. And they're like, it's all right, we have something that you can borrow. And I was like, man, I don't think you have anything that will fit me. Just trying to find my way out of it. But then at the moment, I was just like, you know what? Since I got my kids doing this, I might as well do it too as well. And so I joined, and it was a very humbling experience that I had, especially with Uncle Phil. Me being a former football player and my size and weight, and here I am going against Uncle Phil's probably like close to maybe 200 pounds, 205, and I'm thinking my youth versus this older gentleman right here, and Uncle Phil. I want to say at the age of 37, he held me like a baby. You know what I mean? And from that moment, I was like, yeah, I need to know what Uncle Phil knows, because I can't believe he just flipped me over and did some little things that I was just like, yeah, I don't know what this is, but I need to learn. So that's what got me started with Oregon Roots Jiu-Jitsu.
Dude, awesome. So you've been doing it for about 1 year, you said?
Yeah, 1 year.
You've never done karate or anything before in your life? Yeah.
Nothing.
But you did play football?
Yeah.
Where at? Where did you play football?
In California, and then college ball from there, junior college, and then I transferred out here to Western Oregon back in 2012.
Okay. Was Arn Ferguson your coach?
Yeah, yep. He's still there, but yeah.
Yeah. My cousin's son, Gavin, do you know the name Gavin?
Gavin, which one?
What is Gavin's last name?
Drake? Or Gavin, start with the R?
Yes, Romanek.
That was my coach, yep.
Okay.
He was done playing. He was our coach at the time.
Oh, he was one of the coaches at the time.
He was a dog. He's Gavin wanted to suit up and,
Come on,
hey, man, let me show you. Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. That's funny. What's funny, I went to Western Oregon back when Arn was in college, and he was playing football.
Oh, wow.
So that takes me back a few days.
Oh, yeah.
So
I heard the school had like 4 different names at that time.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. It's got through a few names for sure.
I would look in the locker room, I'm like, what's the name of this school? And it was like, it's this and that, different helmet. I was like, oh, wow. It wasn't just Western Oregon back then. Huh? They're like, no. So
Oregon, if people say Oregon College of Education, OCE, that would be, you went there a long time ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was there at WASC, West Oregon State College, and now it's WU, and so.
Yeah.
All right, Spil, we're going to talk about you, get to know you a little bit. I don't know anything about you other than you love the Lord. That's what your text said.
Yeah.
So let's talk about you. I want to know where you grew up at. I want to hear about your family. You guys are a family-oriented crew, and Phil says you guys make some good food. And
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I was born in American Samoa and came out here in the States when I was a kid, probably like at the age of 4.
Okay.
Up in Seattle, Washington. I grew up there and also grew up in the Bay Area, Hayward, California. and just from there on, but back a little bit, I came up here. My dad was out here, at that time. A lot of my family went to the other side of the world, where they went to Australia and New Zealand.
Okay.
And my grandpa decided to go to American Samoa from Samoa. One is independent, and then one is U.S. territory. So that's where I was born at. And from there, I want to say majority of the route people will take is come to America.
Okay.
And so we came to America. My dad was already out here getting ready for us to, start a home. From there on, pretty much, lived out here and grew up here. This is home for me. And parents pretty much kind of split up. And so my mom pretty much raised 5 of us on her own, and then she ended up passing away back in 2002 when I was only 14 years old in high school. So that, I want to say that kind of like definitely changed, had a little roller coaster up bringing, and of course I had families around that, and then my siblings kind of split up. My older sister was raised by my dad's younger sister. So even though she was part of our 5, she had another set of parents.
Okay.
So it was like 4 of us. And then when my mom passed away, my little sister ended up moving to Samoa and was raised over there by by my auntie who raised my older sister. So our little sibling kind of split up, but I also had family out here in California where they were also my siblings. They were my first cousins, but didn't consider them as first cousins because we grew up pretty much in the same household.
Same home.
Yeah.
Siblings, yeah.
So even to this day, people are like, how many siblings got? I'm like, I got like 16 brothers.
I got 16.
They're like, really? Same mom, dad? I'm like, same mom and dad. Don't even matter to me.
Yeah.
So from there on, just raised in California until I pretty much came out here to Oregon.
Okay. So you're 14. How old were you when your parents split up?
It happened very early when we came to the States. I just remember at a young age, just kind of figure like, where Pop's at? Where Dad at?
Yeah.
But I also saw a lot of things too as well. At the time, drinking was a thing, going out with family as well. So, kind of those little things. Well, but I'm still a kid, and then, he started to step out. And I remember one time he took me for a little ride. We're supposed to go, kind of like Jack in the Box, I think. I remember that. And then end up picking somebody up. And I was like in the backseat just kind of figuring like, what's going on? That's not my mom.
Yeah.
So as a kid, I never told my mom that, as a kid. I remember telling my wife, like, those are the things that I'm just like, I kind of wish I would have told my mom, but at the same time, I just didn't know what to do.
You're a kid, you don't know, yeah. Is your dad still alive?
No, my dad ended up passing away back in 2016.
So after your mom and dad divorced, you went with your mom.
Yeah.
Did you ever stay connected with your dad?
It's crazy because, tried to have a relationship, even through the high school, and after high school and all that stuff. It wasn't until 2000 and sometime around 15 when my first daughter was born, where I was like, I probably a little bit before that, we'll still talk, try to have a relationship and all that stuff. But something was still hurting inside of me, and just couldn't get over the fact of what he did to my mom and then to us. And then I always had that questions like, man, why? And so, and then I came out here to Oregon 2012, and that's where I kind of like had life changing, where I came out here not wanting to even get close to God, kind of shying away from God, but came out here, and then that's where my relationship started to, I had a pastor, mentor, people that were just loving on me and praying for me, and I didn't ask for. I was like, you're cool and all, but I don't want to, I want to do my lane. Be in my own lane, but it didn't go that way, and I started to get closer to the Lord, started following Him, and started reading, started doing all this other stuff that I didn't want to do, and that kind of led to where, fast forward to where, being a father now and having this special moment, and I was like, man, you know what? I'm not gonna be like my dad. Okay. I'm gonna be there for my kids. I'm gonna be there for my wife, and but then again, when you try to have that relationship still, which it was great. He loved, his grandkids and stuff like that. But I was like, I'm still your son. You still hurt the little boy that was inside of me. Still hurt. So finally, I want to say like 2015 is where we kind of had that dad-to-dad moment, where I just called him up and was like, hey, whenever you have a time to talk, we need to talk. And, again, we talk on a regular already.
Right.
I send him money when he needs help and things like that. And, he FaceTime with my kids and stuff. But I was like, no, we need to talk. And that was the moment where he's like, what's going on? And I was like, man, for me to get over how I'm feeling right now, I need to let you know how I'm feeling. Yeah. And that was the moment where I was like, I'm kind of said like, look, I'm not holding no grudges against you, but there's a lot of pain that you caused, and overall, it was a huge relief for me. And at the end of the day, he apologized for what he did in those early years, and I just tell him like, man, you should tell me you'll come pick me up on next weekend. Yeah. That next weekend turned into like a year, and it's like I grew up with people having families and all this stuff and birthdays and stuff, like you miss a lot of those moments. And I told him, I said, I'm not going to be like you as a father, what you did and hurt me, But again, like I said, it is what it is at that time. My dad apologized, and I was able to forgive him and get over. Because I thought I did forgive him because, I'm walking with the Lord, and I was like, what's holding you back? And you have your little moment with God. It's like, God, man, my dad did this to me. But then at the same time, I didn't really realize, let me talk to him while he's still here. And not knowing that he was going to pass away, like maybe in a year or so.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to, let it out.
Yeah. Having tough conversations is never easy.
Yeah.
So take me back a little bit. You said you came closer to the Lord. When did you first know the Lord? What's that look like?
My mom's brother, when we moved from Washington to California back in, I want to say 94-ish or 95. I want to say 94. He was a pastor.
Okay.
And so, we always grew up in church in Samoa. One thing about us in Samoa that you probably is God is number one.
God is number one. Okay.
God is number one. Respect is another thing, and that's huge in our Pacific Polynesian culture is God and family respect, and that's like the foundation.
Yeah.
So it's always there. You could be doing whatever you're doing, but when it's time for church, you got to go up for, get up for church. And so it was there. Grew up in church. Yeah. I consider myself as a PK, pastor's kid. Yep. And, but again, did a lot of things too as well as a PK. So, but honestly, it wasn't, I want to say it wasn't until I came out here where I was kind of like away from family. Yeah. Oregon, it was new to me. Yeah. And, being in California and man, my guy, Scott, who's my mentor, I love my dude, and Pastor Dan, I used to tell him all the time when we get together, and they was like, man, why, what's, I was like, man, Pastor, there's a lot of white people out here, man. Yeah. Straight up. I was like, I didn't trust you guys. I'm from California right now, and there was just, a little stigma of like where I'm from, where you guys are just not the good people, and so I guess coming out here just kind of like changed that, I was just, this is something where I was raised in, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so came out here, and then I have him and Scott and Pastor Dan and all these other mentors of mine, Bob and Pastor Rick, and I'm looking at them, it's like, why do you guys want to love on me?
What?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, what did I do to that you guys want to?
Why do I deserve that?
Correct. Yeah. And at the end, it was always just love, it was Christ. It was Jesus. It was like, that was the thing. And it was so new to me still, you know what I mean? Because I was like,
but it's real.
Yeah. You know, y'all really truly care about me. Y'all truly love me, and it was just something so new to me. And you know, I guess part of that could be because maybe my dad wasn't around, so you never really had that. Then you lost a mom at the age of 14, so it's like I hit the streets early of like looking for love in a way. Yeah. You know, trying to find a family. Yeah, correct. And, you know, go over here with my friends. And, you know, and I remember I tell my wife, you know, I said, man, I remember those feelings of, you know, being at your friend's house and, you know, you think you're one of them. You're one of the kids, right? Because you're pretty much living there and all this stuff. And then when it's Christmas or birthdays and you see the cakes and candles for them, and then when it comes to Christmas and they get all the little presents stuff, but then when it comes to your birthday, it's like there's no cake for you, no ice cream. When it comes to Christmas and then you get like, you know, gift for the kids and then you're the one that didn't get a gift, part of that kind of like, okay, I'm about to get hardened up. You know what I mean? Like, I got, even though it hurt as a kid, you know what I mean? But I was like, I can't show it. And so
shove it down,
I just shove it. Like, just, it is what it is. Like, you know, when it comes to birthday, I was like, so what? It's whatever. Yeah. And that's how when it came to those holidays, with no parents around to kind of like, you know, make it special, those moments kind of like, it was out the window. Yeah. It wasn't until my wife, who loves to do special things for people on their day. And when she try to do that, I would just like, because I was so used to not getting nothing. Yeah. And you know what I mean? So I'm grateful for my wife because now, you know, even with having kids, we have 4 kids, Isaiah, Faith, Hope, and Grace.
No kidding. Yeah, I love those names.
And so, you know, it even kind of, you know, my attitude, how those birthday was, when it was their birthday, I was kind of like, who cares? Not really saying who cares, but I wasn't making it special enough compared to my wife, who was like, we got to make it special. And I was just being me as a kid that was like, it wasn't that important to me. So, I mean, look how I turned out. So, it's all right. And she was just like, she worked like years of, and then finally to where I was like, yeah, you know what, that's just my upbringing, is that kind of had that wall where, don't expect anything.
You know, big tough guy. You know, we're supposed to look tough and be tough, but yet we all have broken stuff in us, man, with that emotion and father fractures, if you will. Yeah. So, well, take me back. Okay, so like high school, what was high school like for you? I'm sure you played football. Yeah. Where'd you go to high school at?
High school, I was in Tennyson, in Hayward, California.
Okay.
You know, Hayward, how describe the California, you know, we have nicknames for each city. And San Francisco, people will recognize that like Frisco or city. Oakland is called, you know, the town. You know, you got all this nickname. And Hayward was the stack and also was known as the heart of the Bay because we were right there in the middle of the Bay Area.
Got it.
And so we are, you know, a lot of people are just like, oh, where's Hayward at somewhat? Because we're like, oh, it's right next to Oakland. You know, so we have our own little areas that we grew up in. But yeah, no, I play sports and all the stuff. I struggle in school. Wasn't a fan of school. Maybe because I was English was my second language,
right.
And when you come into elementary and all that stuff, trying to read and all, you know, you remember those things, and the kids are ruthless, man.
Kids are ruthless, man.
You know, they just, you know, again, kids are just being kids. They don't know any better, but you know, that kind of hurt for me as I'm reading and learning, where it kind of school wasn't my go-to, but sports was. You know, sports made it easy for me to come to school, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, I can't play on the football team if I don't go to school.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I remember one year I told, you know, that was the rules. You got to get a 2.0.
That's sweet.
Yeah, 2.0. And I remember telling my coach, like, you know, coach, I got good news and bad news. And he was like,
oh, no.
What is this? He's like, tell me the good news. I was like, good news? Oh, no. I thought he said bad news. I said, bad news? I got 2 Fs. And he was just looking at me, had his head down. And then he was like, all right, tell me what's the good news.
I got a 2.0.
I got 2A. I got 2.0.
2.0.
You know what I mean? He was like, hey, I'm happy for you to play, but at the same time, that's not, for me, it was just enough to play.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about the future. I wasn't thinking about life. I wasn't thinking about after. I wasn't thinking about just like, pushing myself to be great and stuff like that. I was like, I'm just doing enough just to get by. And that's what I kind of would do, growing up, was just to get by. As long as I'm alive and breathing, it was good enough for me. But as far as like, not having parents around, you have other families. I had a lot of sisters, man. I had a lot of sisters growing up. And so for me, I became a protector, for my family. And people would describe me in high school, I would say like a loving guy, but at the same time, he was like, don't mess with Spil.
Don't do it.
You know what I mean? Yeah. He was the bully against bullies.
Yeah.
We had,
I like that guy.
Yeah. So we had a lot of bullies, in high school and all that stuff. And when people was getting their stuff jacked and, stolen by these group of guys or whoever it was, they would just come to me and just be like, hey, man, he took my wallet, my back, whatever it was. And I'll just go over there like, you know what to do, just give it back. So I never started anything. I would just be the protector and provide. And, a lot of people back then was like, man, how you know this Asian kid, this Indian kid? And I was like, man, that's my kid from elementary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they didn't know me as Spil. They know me as Sipili, which that's my government name. So anybody that, anybody that knows me as Sipili, you know me from elementary. You know me from elementary. We didn't have no nicknames in elementary. You know what I mean? Elementary. So they be like, Sipili, man, he took this. I'm like, I got you. So I was a bully against the bullies, man.
A bully against the bullies. That's a good word, man. I like that. I feel the same way, man.
Yeah.
Come on, you have to go through me, man. Yeah. All right, so. You go to high school, go to college. That's when you come up to Oregon. Go to Western.
Yeah.
What's your degree in?
Man, I got just social science.
Okay.
It's the main one right now. Yeah. Can't even think of it.
Were you on the 4-year plan? It took me 5 years.
Man, it took me like almost 10-year plan, man.
Hey,
I ain't gonna lie.
You got through, man.
Yeah. In 2006, I graduated high school, went to junior college in California, and did like 2 to 3 years there. And then kind of like, started to work and help out the family. And took, next like years went by.
Yeah.
And then next it's like, oh, man, it's already like 2011. It's like 12. And then I came out here and then it was like, oh. So I came out here as like pretty much a super senior compared to, we already had guys on the team that was in their like, early 30s. And so when I came, I was probably like 23 maybe years old. And then we had, the seniors that were like 22, 23. So here are these guys that everybody look at seniors and they see us like, y'all super seniors, you know what I mean? But it was good. It was good to be back on the football field and the teammates and having those guys that were still in the 21-20, and then they look at us like, man, these guys come with wisdom too.
Yeah.
They come with, understanding the game. So we wasn't like straight out of high school where, you got the high school, kids that's like kind of going through the motion. Then we had these, the high school kids that look up to us, So even though I was, 22, 23 years old, I played 2 years here at Wu.
Yeah.
And I think I completed it in 3 years out here. So which was good because, and it was a crazy story. You know what I mean? Like I was pretty much done in 2015.
Okay.
I had one class that professor was great. And he gave me an incomplete on this work. Only because I had a B. I had a B in the class and he said, Sipili, all you gotta do is just do this one assignment. I'll switch your grade to an A.
Come on.
So that way you can get an A. And, and I was just like, so I gave you an incomplete until you do this. This is 2015.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, okay. I was the only class I needed to complete, school as I was doing the other classes. And time went by. I never did it. I had a family. And then my daughter was born. And then I moved back to California. Mm-hmm. And then here it is, 2017 we moved back. But it wasn't until 2021.
Wow.
And so I went back to Wu because I was like, man, you know what? Let me just finish this. And I was not that, I'll do it. I'll get it done. So I went back to Wu, and then they said, yeah, you only have one more class to take. And then they're like, yeah, okay. So I was talking to the counselor, and I kind of like told her like, hey, I completed this one class, and he gave me a incomplete. She's like, yeah, I see that. And she was like, well, I had a B.
Yeah. And
she was like, she kind of didn't believe me at first, right? And yeah, she was like, and I told her, I said, his name was Dr. Warren. I had a B. He had one assignment for me to do. And so she was like, I know Dr. Warren. He retired. So all the odds against me to get there was not looking good, because not only, and she said, and for you to change your grade, it's in 1 year.
Yeah.
So you had to finish it in 2016.
Right.
This is 2021 now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So she said, not only you passed a year, you're a couple years late now, like 6 years, and Dr. Warren is no longer here with us. But the good thing is that I know him. I can reach out to him. Let me get back to you. So she reached out to him and said, hey, do you remember a student named Sipili in your class? He's like, yes. It was a great, it was like, he's a great student, all that stuff. Yeah. He was good. Well, he's coming back, and for him to get his bachelor, he told me that one of the class that you give him an incomplete, and same story that I said matches his story. And she was like, well, are you willing to like write something to the school, say you're going to change his grade and get the B? And I was like, he was like, yeah, absolutely, because he's telling the truth. I told him to do one assignment. He never did.
He never did.
So he did that. She calls me back and say, great news. I got a hold of him. He's willing to change it. But the only thing is now I got to go to the board and tell them your story, because it's kind of a strange story.
Like, why didn't you finish it?
Yeah. And so she went to the board. They said, man, he did everything he had to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, let's reward him that change of grade, and tell him that he's going to be, walking the stage in 2021, this is COVID time. And it was like the best news for me. And even though I was happy to be done with school, I just wanted to get over with. And I wasn't going to walk the stage. I was just kind of like, it's over with. But my wife was like, no, you're going to walk.
Yeah.
You have kids now that are going to see this moment. You may not think, because again, my upbringings, right?
Yeah.
It's not that big deal. It's not that big. Those things not big. And so she was like, we're going to celebrate this moment. You're going to walk. And it was a great thing, because I had family from Hawaii, Washington, California, Vegas, like just everywhere that came and surprised me on that day. And I was like, what y'all doing here? You know what I mean? My wife reached out to them, and they were all excited. So yeah, 2011, so from 2006, that's a long time, but hey, I did it.
You got it done, man.
Yes, sir.
That's I've never heard that story before.
Yeah.
You're like, no, I was not on the 4-year plan. I was on a different plan.
Yeah.
So from 2006 to 2021.
21, man.
Okay, you did it, bro.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And that, looking back at it, I'm just glad that, it just my whole story. Like, I always question, what I have, and I always look back and just like, man, God, that's just all you. I don't know. It's all you. And that was a humble experience for me, where just got to realize that, man,
Yeah. Let's talk about marriage. I mean, behind every good man is a better woman. How do you feel about that?
That's 100% true.
I mean,
man.
I can see your wife going, you're a tough guy. I probably wouldn't want to mess with you. And your wife's like, you're going to go do that.
Yeah.
She's calling you out. You're going to be the man that I married, and you're going to step up.
Nah, for sure.
How'd you, so take me back real quick. You moved up to Oregon. You're going to play some football. When did you meet your wife, and then how did you know she was the one?
I met my wife. She was a family member of my friend, and we just, again, just kind of casual, that's the family of the friends that I was with. And then fast forward, I want to say 2014, we kind of just reconnect, and it's funny because everybody, like, oh, Spilly he's a little player guy, you know what I mean? That's just, and she knew, and her and I kind of we hit it off of like just praying and kind of like, talking about what God's been doing in our life. And this is where I was the old me, where I was shifting to this new person. And I was just realizing the things that are important to me. And so I didn't kind of have that type of relationship with these other girls that I was talking to or back in those time. And her and I were just like, hey, on God level. So that kind of like sparked it up for her and I. And I was like, man, this is new for me right here. I love what I'm feeling here. I love how that we're talking about God. I love how God is center in what we do in our life. And so, that kind of sparked it up for her and I. And fast forward, we just made 10 years this month.
Come on.
Of marriage,
10 years.
12 years of being together. And it was just, she's definitely, the better half of me. And a lot of things, my upbringings that, again, she just loved me through that. And I would tell all my nephews and other friends too as well, like, man, God is always going to be the number one. I always tell you this, but and when he provides you with a wife, life is 10 times better than,
100%.
Being on your own, because you have somebody that's going to be 100% be there for you, support you, love you, have your back. You can have friends that can hurt you, whatever it is, but your wife's going to love you no matter what. And she's going to want the best for you, even when, hurts her. Yeah.
So what's your wife's name?
It's Monique, but she go by Naomi, and nickname is Omi or Omi.
Okay. So you met her back probably in high school, or
yeah.
So you guys actually went to high school together.
No, she a couple years older than me. So she was my friend's family member, and again, our oldest son is with that's her first from her previous marriage.
Gotcha.
And so when we reconnect from there, she was already divorced, and her and I just kind of like hit it off from again. Yeah, loving on the Lord.
Yeah. What was it about her that you saw in her that you liked? I mean, a character trait. What was it? What was that like that you saw in her?
The number one thing that I would say was just how God was really center in her life where she was at. And again, she just came out of being in the marriage, and she had her son at the time, which was probably. Yeah, at the time I want to say like just 8, something like that. So somebody that has a son and trying to provide. And sometimes when you're kind of, for me, it's like when you're at your rock bottom of stage and how you picture life to be and doesn't go the way it is, and it builds character. And she was just kind of like, I'm a single mom, and then I'm gonna make sure that my son is gonna get the best of the world. And the fact that she was willing to do that and so she's very, she's all about others.
All about others.
Yeah.
Rock bottom, nobody likes to go to rock bottom, but guess, pain that we feel is oftentimes the only place where we see God.
Correct.
When things are going great, I'm good. I don't necessarily need God. And so, I don't always want to pray for pain, either in my life or in your life or my kid's life or my wife's life, but, we should embrace pain because it's when we make the best decisions to change.
Yeah.
God needs to change us. He needs to reshape us and mold us into his image, and it's pain.
Yeah.
It comes through pain.
Yes, sir.
We all go through it. Don't fight it. It's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming. Okay, so you guys have been married for 10 years. So how old are your kids now?
Isaiah is 24. Faith is 10, about to be 11. And Hope is 9, going to be 10. They're like 3 weeks apart, both in November. And then Grace, she is 7, going to be 8 in August 10th. So I know they're always 1 year apart. I always got to figure out so yeah.
What a blessing, man.
Yeah.
What's it mean to be a dad?
Man, it means the world. It's the best. Being a leader, man, I gotta be.
Yeah.
I gotta be a leader, provide and all that stuff, and I just love it. I love everything about being a dad. It's a different type of love. My wife will tell me when you have your kids and all that stuff, you're gonna feel a different type of love. And I used to tell her because my mom was everything to me. And I was like, nah, I love my mom. And I love you too, but my mom is number one. That was just how it was. And so, now that you have your own kids, you're just like, I do love my mom still. Yeah. But there is a different type of love of your kids and things like that. And then as you continue to grow, there's that different type of love with God too. And that's where, it's very important for me where, as God was always there. And so.
Well, the funny thing about love isn't like I can give 10% to that person and 10% because I only have 100%. No, I can give 100% of love to each person. Yeah. That's the difference, with love. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be just partitioned out, But I think, I don't know how you feel about this, but when you got married to your wife, God, if you love Scripture like I do, and I think you do, our wife is our number one ministry. Yeah. Even before our kids. Yeah. Because a lot of times I see parents putting all their energy into their kids, and they really bypass each other. And I don't think that works. No. What's your thoughts on that?
You're 100% right. I mean, if we go by the scriptures and stuff, right? Yeah. It's your wife. And I remember, and again, I wouldn't know a lot of this stuff if it wasn't for, Bible studies and reading and diving into those things and applying it to my life and all that stuff. Because sometimes we don't know things, but then we try it and we realize like, oh, yeah, it's not in the line of order of how God wants us to be. And for sure, my wife is number one. You know what I mean?
And how does that look on a day-to-day basis? Because, I mean, we all say that. I agree, you agree. God's word is right. Love our wives as Christ loved the church. But then how does that play out in your life? How does your wife know that she's number one under God?
We all have different love language. Yeah. My wife is just talking to her, letting her know that she is loved. The small things, holding hands while we're driving, making sure, I try to practice these things because sometimes just walk out the house and like, all right, see you later. A little goodbye hug, not a goodbye hug, but like, just a farewell kiss and a hug, just let them know, hey, I love you and have a great day. For me, I'm still practicing, making sure I'm doing the right things. But my wife knows it's just little things of being a leader of our family and making sure we're doing everything and just centering God in everything that we do. Literally everything that we do.
Yeah, centered on God, man. I love that. As you think about kids too, how do your kids know? Because you grew up in a broken family, right? And a lot of us grow up in a broken family. I mean, I had a great mom and dad, but there's still elements of brokenness. As dads, we're not perfect, right? Yeah. How do your kids know that you love them? What is it about them that my dad loves me because?
That's a good question. For me, I'm just gonna be. I'm me with my kids. My kids, they see everybody as like, my dad's this big guy. He's all this stuff. But to me, my dad's silly. He is silly. Do funny faces, do little funny dances, with us. And they just like, oh, dad, like, But again, they love it. You know what I mean? They love it. And for me, I'm not trying to be the cool dad or anything. I'm just trying to be the dad to be there for them and to love on them. And I will tell them the truth on things, because they will ask questions like, how was your mom when she was this and that? And, you have those moments like, I wish your grandparents were still like, my parents would be here for you guys. Yeah. And then I would just tell them all the time, like, guys, like, as much as I love you guys, as much as mom and we love you guys, just remember, God loves you, and trying to speak that into their life over and over and knowing that it's like, guys, death is something that will happen to all of us. And because it happened to me, and my younger sister, she was 7 years old, when my mom passed away. Wow. And so my daughter right now is 7 years old, So you tend to, remind of those little things like, man, you're 7. I remember when my sister was 7. Yeah. And to see my daughter right now, if she was to go through that phase of, what my sister went through, what we went through, it's like, I never want that. But then again, I want to just encourage them again and just tell them, like, guys, if you ever want to see each other again after this life, God is the way.
God is
over,
the way. Yeah.
over and over again. God is the way. If you miss us and all this stuff, like, they get sad. I get sad to talking about it, but again, it's real. And I tell them, like, no, guys, we'll be together again. Remember, you got to accept God, love God, and God is everything.
Yeah.
So over and over, whether they're 7 years old, 8, 9, 24, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. What church you guys go to out in Monmouth?
Christ the King.
Christ the King.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And Independence. Yeah.
Independence.
Yeah.
You have a favorite Bible verse?
Man, I was thinking about that, Philippians, all that. And then, again, I got one on me right now.
Come on, let me.
It's Romans 8:31. And if God is for us, then who can stand against us? And again, I know it's just a reminder for me, every day, and to pick up that cross, to carry the cross, and
pick up the cross.
Yeah, and just be reminded, like, no, John B. Mr. Goody and Holy guy. Remember what you were before. You came to the Lord, and that's the kind of, like, I always try to have. It's like, man, somebody can have a worse day, bad day, and at the end of the day, if you just have that mindset, like, God, and even if things doesn't make sense to me, I gotta make sense by just knowing I'm gonna trust God in this.
I'm gonna trust God.
Yeah.
Speaking of Romans 8:28 says, all things work together for good for those who love God and been called according to his purpose. And sometimes in the hard times of life, like, Lord, why is this happening?
Yeah.
We question, but if we really trust God, he has a plan.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And then consider it all joy when you encounter various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance. And it's crazy. Your other one said hope. Is that what that says?
Yeah, it's my other daughter, Hope. And it's Isaiah 40:31. Those who are hope in the Lord will renew their strength.
Dude, that's awesome.
So, again, I didn't know God. And so for me, as I was getting to know him, I just kind of, like, okay, what's something that speaks to me to help me in my day-to-day? And so, got it tatted on me, and
God is good. So, Uncle Phil, as you call him, I know him as Phil Hire, but Uncle Phil, I love that. I texted him this morning and said, hey, I'm having Spil on here this morning. What do you got? He goes, well, talk about the first time he came to jiu-jitsu, which you did.
Yeah.
He was, it's an interesting sport, but the one thing he did say, he goes, Spil is probably the most genuine guy I've ever met. Now, coming from a guy like Phil, he has a past and he'll tell you all about it. We've done a podcast together, and father fractures, man, it's messed up. But how do we bring Phil to the gospel? How do we bring him? I've been praying for Phil for a long time. He knows that.
Yeah.
So I talk about it. Care about Phil.
Same. I think the same thing, like you say, pray, love. And that's just, hearing his story, I understand.
You understand.
I understand where he's coming from. We all have our stories, and I feel like, he's not too far. He understands, and we need brothers like us, and just to be surrounded by it. Again, it does that changing your settings and your friends. Can definitely impact your life and stuff like that. And again, he seems like he has a great wife and daughters who loves him.
Yeah,
Mariah and I will talk about it. And I just like, hey, Mariah, me and your dad got to chop it up this weekend, and he shared some stuff, and it's like, again, that's his daughter, but on the other side of looking things in, so I'm like, I know what it's like to not walk with the Lord, and done things on my own.
Yeah.
And so you realize, like, it's not working.
It doesn't work, does it? We tried it.
Yeah.
I'm a guy. I want to do it on my own. I just can't.
Yeah. But I think Uncle Phil, for me, you see growth. You see changes of Mariah. One weekend, Uncle Phil came over from a barbecue we had.
Yeah.
And, his wife and Mariah was like, hey, your dad is still at Spil's house. His location's still over there. And
like 9 hours or something.
I think it was pretty long. And I enjoyed every moment of it, talking with Uncle Phil. But then Uncle Phil even said, like, you know what, Spil? I just love being at home with my wife and our dogs. I'm I don't really be out with people, go to places, but one thing I would say is like, since you welcome us here and brought us over here, I love being here. It's another place where I know if I'm gonna go to Spil's house and the function that he has, a barbecue and all that it's gonna be a great event. And he's like, usually I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Just like some people when you're like, yeah, let's go, guys. Come on, kids, let's go. But he's like, no. I love being here, talking with you, talking with your wife, talking with everybody that's here. And again, for me, that's the type of environment that I want. But at the end of the day, I want everybody to come here as they are and just enjoy the moment. And then at the end of the day, when people start questioning or asking like, why Spil is like that? That's all it takes to just open up a conversation, right? And then I have other nephews who's not walking with the Lord, who comes to Bible study or comes to event or comes to our house, and we have to pray before we eat and things like that. Let that be the a little step closer to the Lord, and I feel like that's what other people will be drawn to.
Well, you were drawn to that with the pastors around you back in 2015.
Yeah.
Like, why are you guys loving on me, man?
Exactly.
Why? I know who I am. I don't deserve this.
No, absolutely. And I feel like that is the same love that I'm going to do in everything that I do when I have a gathering and stuff. Because, when you have a gathering, it's just, me and my wife want to provide majority of the things that we can. If anybody wants to help in and say, oh, yeah, here and there. But at the end of the day, I don't want families to not come to an event because they didn't bring anything with them. And I just don't worry about that. You guys just come. Just come. And so the more we keep having these events and people come over and hang out,
so awesome,
it would just open up doors. And again, that's all it takes, just for somebody to just come in and whether they conversate with me, my wife, and other people. It might not even talk to me. They might talk to, somebody else and they're like,
exactly.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was divine. I call it divine, but I sense unconditional love. There's no judgment. Come as you are. Look, I've been there.
Yeah.
I know exactly what I've done, so there's no judgment. Just come as you are.
No, absolutely. And I think that's just how I live my life, because I know that I was broken. And I know that God, pulled me through and where I'm at right now. And to be reminded is that God, on the cross for you and I. And if I never want to lose that, and as I continue to walk with the Lord, sometimes you get frustrated, and part of you just like, man, he keeps doing that, or over and over. But I remind again, like, dude, you are no perfect. God did the same thing to you when He's probably was doing that to you. Like, come on, Spilly, come on, Sipili, like, come on, dude, come on, man. But at the same time, this is God. He never turned his back. He never cut me off like how, forsake me or just cut me off like how I want to cut people. Like, I'm tired of this. If you don't want to walk with the Lord and you want to keep doing anything, I'm done. But at the same time, God never did that to me. So that's always been in the back of my mind, like, be like God, trying to be like Him, be like Christ, and how He loved on other people no matter what. Even though you get frustrated and all this stuff, go back to just ask for God and prayers and, but.
The verse in Romans, I quote it quite a bit, Romans 2:4, it's the kindness of God that draws people to repentance. It's not judgment.
Yeah.
It's not conditional love. It's His kindness that draws people to repentance. And in the kindness is His love.
Yeah.
I mean, and how dare us? God is perfect. We're not.
Yeah.
He loves us even when we're in sin.
Yeah.
So how much more should we love people? I mean, it's interesting. Your shirt, real quick, it says "Under God." What is that shirt? Is that represent anything?
No, my wife got me this. I want to say last week, and she was just like, I just thought about you and how you are as a person. And I will let me turn around because it's what it says: leader, provider, and what else?
Let's see. Leader, protector. Hold still, real quick. Leader, protector, provider. Nehemiah 4:14.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it.
She got me that, and she knows that, I don't really wear too much things, other brand or just something that if it's not about God, and she knows that these type of shirts is what I love to wear, and so she got it from me, and she was like, "Yeah, I just thought about you. You're a leader, and you're a protector and a provider." And I was just like, man, and at the moments you hear those things, she's like, "No, babe, you are." But for me, I'm always hard on myself because I'm like, I just want to just do the best that I can. Yeah. Even if I am doing great at it, I don't want to. I just want to do the best that I can every single day because we're all going to have that time where we're feeling weak and we just don't have it in us. But I want to give it to the best, to love on other people no matter what. Because again, there's no greater, better feeling to know that you're walking with the Lord, and then know that sometimes we are going to mess up, but then we have a Father there that's going to it's okay, and So I guess that love that I, have for the Lord, I'm hungry to give it to others because I know, and when I see others and doing the things that I was doing, it's like, it's okay. I'm not saying it's okay that you're doing it, right, but we'll get there.
We'll get there.
Yeah. What I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, walk through what you do for a career. I know you and your wife do have a business.
Yeah.
What do you guys do?
We work with adult with disability. And our business called Manuia Support Service. We are a DSA and independence. And I've been in this field since 2012, since I came out here.
Yeah.
And I remember, when you're away from family and you need a job and you don't have money, you're willing to take whatever is there. And so when I got this, my first job working, I just remember I was ready to quit. Yeah. But I needed a job. I was ready to quit. And I was, because I was a big guy, they put me with, I would say at the moment, one of the toughest client, nonverbal. And I just remember just like, man, this is not a good fit. But I remember my ringtone, my phone went off and there was a Christian song that played. And the individual I was working with just got quiet, looked at me and pointed at the phone. And I was like, yeah. And then did this.
Whoa.
Didn't say nothing and just closed his eye, looked up back and forth. And I was just like, Jesus? And he just pointed at his heart. And I just went, I had a moment right there, mind blown, because here I am, we are working with these guys that are no different than us, need a little support. Yeah. I didn't have that mindset. Right. I was just kind of like, I'm here for work. I'm here. Right. I didn't have that mindset, heart and everything. But then I remember I went home and I prayed and I just like, God, change my heart, change my mind, change everything about me. And it did. I went in there, becoming one of the best staff in this field. And that individual was no longer the toughest one. I started to take him to church. People were just, he was out there, worship, had his hand up, praising and everything, no shame. And I was just like, man, look at my guy just having fun. That's how it is right there. Just love the Lord. Mm-hmm. Don't even worry about what other people think about you. Don't worry about what they're, it's like, that's weird a little bit. But it was just him and God. Mm-hmm. And so that taught me a huge thing. And so I kind of just went into that field. From 2012, just, line of duty where I became a lead staff to manager to director, kind of work my way up in this field. And then finally, 2011 is where 21 is where my wife and I decided to hey, we can do this, and I never thought I would be in a place to have my own business or anything like that. Yeah. But again, like I said, that's why we have our wives, right? Because if I, she was like, no, man, we got this.
We got this, man.
Manuia is a Samoan word, and pretty much translating into English is blessings, And so we wanted something that represent us, where we come from, but have a powerful meaning. And it's crazy because a lot of people, at the beginning, they were like, pronouncing it was so weird, so different from, kind of like my last name when people were like, Tui, what? But now it's just like Manuia. Like, yeah. And then they're like, people now we have about 60 plus individuals that attend our program. And
60?
Yeah, about 60 plus, yeah.
Wow.
And it's amazing. Again, people will say we have a little, my wife and I will say all the time, this is not hard work. This is heart work.
Heart work.
And you got to have the heart to be in this field,
Amen.
to serve. And
Yeah, it's funny how you're out looking for a job, you got your job, and then God's like calling you into a kind of a ministry that you had no idea that He had a plan for you.
Yeah.
And it feels like, I don't know you, Spil, that well, but it feels like you actually love what you do.
Love it.
You and your wife together.
Yeah.
So you guys house, like I know a lot of people do adult.
Yeah. Group home.
Yeah, group home. Is that what this is?
It's in the same branch. The only difference is that we're a day program where they live at the home. We will pick them up from where they live at, bring them to our facility in Independence. We have a bunch of cool stuff in there, arcade, games. We pretty much build and grow as we have individuals. We have, some of these folks, they don't have much funds, and from the state and things like that.
Yeah.
So even like getting a haircut, they got to go. And nowadays haircuts is no longer back in the days where it's $10, $5, 20,
40.
20 or so. Yeah, it's 40 and up.
Yeah.
So we had individuals that will come like, oh, I need a haircut. We're like, oh, how come you don't get a haircut? Well, I don't have money. Ding. I tell my wife, we need to go get a barbershop chair.
Yeah.
We need to buy some clippers.
Come on.
And we're going to add a hair here for the section. So when they come to our program, they want a haircut, they get a free haircut.
No kidding, dude.
The ladies, they want to do their nails, do all this type of stuff. We have people there that will braid their hair, do their nails. So, it's just kind of like, we're going to provide.
So you guys are a partner to the group home.
Yeah.
And so you gives them a break to go, okay.
Absolutely.
Come here and they can stay all day. How long?
We operate Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. The only time we operate on Thursday if Monday's a holiday. But
You're open 3 days a week.
3 days a week. And they come and like I say, the home enjoys it. They get to go out and being when I used to work in a group home, that was the best thing about our individual was that they were like, oh, Spil's working. Yes. And then I didn't know because that was just normal for me to come to work, but I will take them out. Yeah. I would take them out and do things with them, going to the movies, going to bowling, do all the fun stuff. And especially, I also never been to Oregon, so I wanted to kind of like, let's go sightseeing, you know what I mean? And they love that. And a lot of the homes, I would say, staff, just do the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Of just like, we'll just stay here and do that. But for me, it was exciting. Like, hey, we had 2 vehicles, so we didn't have to share a vehicle. I'll take one, you take the other one, and I was just like, whoever want to go for a ride, let's go for a ride. We're going to go here.
That's funny.
And once I got the okay from the managers to do those things, which I didn't know, at the time, I was like, oh, we can? Yeah. As long as you, bring the receipts up. I got all the receipts for you, you know what I mean? So that kind of like we're, built to where we're at right now at the DSA, where I kind of pivot and didn't want to do the home thing. I want to do the DSA because I find that that's where they're excited about.
Well, what's a DSA?
Day service activity.
Okay, DSA, I got it.
And so, I love it. Yeah, so we do field trips every day.
Just Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Yeah.
Right.
But we also have a facility for them to do the things that if we're indoor. But we have a schedule, agenda of what we're going to be doing. And every day is pretty much an activity. And people's like, man, how far do you guys go? You guys should stay in the Polk County, America? I don't know. We go to the coast. We went to Bend.
Come on.
You know what I mean? We went to Winston Wildlife Safari. They're like, how did you make this happen in just a short? I was like, man, it's on the calendar. And we will work with the provider and say, hey, this opens at 9 o'clock. We usually be there at 7, but we're going to be there at 6 because we need to be here at a certain time. And then that way we can enjoy and come back home at a certain time. So it's a lot of planning. Yeah. But again, I think I love that. I love puzzles, pieces. My wife's like, my husband loves Tetris, so I like to just like figure things out and make it work. So
on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. What do you, as a business, what do you guys do on those days?
Yeah, we have a lot of paperwork to do on the.
Okay, you're still working,
just not with the clients and stuff like that.
Yeah. I like that because if you did it 5 days a week, that'd be exhausting.
Well, I don't. Again,
maybe you could do it.
Maybe you can. You know what I mean? Like there's always things like, oh, what we should do, but at the same time, it works out good for us. We got to make sure that we're. Touching everything at paperwork side and not just being great on the floor with the clients, but then on the paper side of things, we got to make
You're
sure
business owner, man.
checking it off. So, and that's where my wife comes in.
I got it. Well, Spil, we're gonna wrap up, but Any last thoughts that you want to share with the audience? I mean, you shared your heart. I mean, there's really nothing left I could think of, but is there anything left that you're thinking that you want to share?
No, I just appreciate it, for inviting me here. But I mean, my thing right now is always going to be God. And I think that I know sometimes people, will question that. And it's like, I just want to know that before I came to God, I was just like them. I was broken. I was in the streets and doing what I was doing. But then, thanks to other people for loving on me, being there for me, and guiding me to the right direction. And that led to God. And then from there on, God just took over. And I just want to say, like, as some people would be like, man, that's kind of corny and things like, okay. But honestly, for me, it's just, my life is where it's at right now because of God. And I never thought, Bob, my other mentor, was there yesterday at my house, and he was like, Spil, and I was telling him that, I said, hey, man, I'm going to go to Kaiser at the Rec, and have this little podcast that this guy named Buddy invited me, and he was like, oh, you're going to share your testimony? And I was like, honestly, I don't know.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, and he was like, oh, and he was happy for me. And I just remember like going back to 2012 when I first met him, and he was like, he asked me like, did you ever thought that you would live this, I was like, no, but I thank you though, because you're one of the people that was there for me. You're one of the people that just prayed and loved on me. And I was like, because of that, it where I'm at right now, and again, it's not gonna be perfect, but again, having those very important people in my life helped me to become the father that I am. And at the end of the day, till I'm done with this world, I'm going to continue to love on others, on how Christ loved on me. And I'm not perfect still.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
Nor am I.
Yeah.
And we're not called to be perfect. Correct. We needed Christ. That's why he had to die, because we're not perfect.
Yeah.
And my sin nature hasn't left. It's still here in this broken world. But Spil, I really appreciate you just being transparent, sharing your life. Thank you for listening this week. We really appreciate you. I hope that you'll share this podcast with your friends and family, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you ever want to be on the podcast, we'd love to have you on here. If you know somebody who would love to be on here and share their story like Spil just did with me and with you, we'd love that as well. Spil, man, what a pleasure.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, I really appreciate you.
Thank you
being on here. You're a guy I want to keep an eye on and follow and see what you're doing, because if you're following God, you're all in, I'm all in.
Appreciate it.
So appreciate you, man. See you next week.